Outside of the stat sheet, Derek Carr was awesome tonight. He made some plays today that very few guys that I've coached could make. I tip my hat to him.
I'm going to be completely honest here. I'm tired of being disrespected. So there was no question I was going to play this year.
We are now the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome into Vegas Nation Blitz, where the Raiders enter the week 2-0. Welcome in, everyone. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. The Raiders are just one of 11 teams left in the NFL undefeated after beating the Saints 34-24 on a Monday Night Football victory. It was a historic night for the Raiders, and our very own Vinny Bonsignore was there. Vinny, it was looking a little rough at first for the Raiders, but they managed to pull it together to beat Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints in the debut of Allegiant Stadium.
Well, no doubt, and that's why they play 4 quarters and not just 1 quarter, thankfully for the Raiders, because after 1 quarter, it wasn't looking good. But, they gathered themselves. They made some adjustments defensively. Really like the fact that after 2 games, they've outscored their opponents 17-0 in the 3rd quarter. That's when games are typically won and lost in terms of at least taking control of a game. And the Raiders have responded with the adjustments at halftime to play much better to start the second half. That bodes well moving forward. But certainly, the gut check to fall behind the way they did twice and to keep coming back, force a turnover, make the plays that they needed to offensively. And while the defense absolutely needs some work, the timeliness of being able to step up and make a play when it's needed, that's the most important part of playing good, fundamentally sound defense is, short of being able to just dominate an opponent, which they're not there yet. If you can make the plays when they need to be made, that's a pretty big part of that battle as well.
Yeah, well, you touched on it a little bit there, and we talked about halftime adjustments, but I want to know what adjustments were made after the first quarter, because that second quarter, this team really came to life.
Yeah, I think they settled down. We got to understand it was the first game in Las Vegas. It was Monday Night Football. I know that there wasn't fans at the stadium, unfortunately. But even at that level, you can overhype yourself a little bit. And I'm sure the Raiders were really, excited to get on the field for the first time at Allegiant Stadium in an official game. And it probably took them out of the game just a little bit. And against the Saints, you certainly can't do that. You can't be anxious. You can't be, just overplaying it. You definitely have to play sound, fundamental football against them. And they started to do that, especially offensively. And then once they got through that little phase, offensively they were dynamic and efficient. Being able to run 19 more plays than the Saints. They had the ball, I think, over 15, more than 15 minutes, in terms of possession than the Saints. They were 10 of 17 on 3rd downs. They were 1-on-1 on 4th downs. They limited, again, the penalties, which is huge for the Raiders. They were even on the turnover battle. So a lot of good things happened after that first quarter. And really, honestly, by after that first quarter, they were just the better team last night. That's just flat out what happened. And, who would have believed that? And who would have believed that right now the Raiders would be 2-0? And John Gruden always likes to. A lot of coaches do this. They quarter their season off, their 16-game season off, into four-game quarters. And to be 2-0 right now in that first quarter, which arguably is the toughest part of their schedule, they'll take that.
Well, you wrote about this for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. You wrote about him, kicker Daniel Carlson. Yeah. Let's go ahead and give him the love he deserves after a perfect start for this guy.
Yeah, no question. And I remember last week in Charlotte when he kicked the 54-yard field goal. It was one of those ones I put in my back pocket because I was like, okay, when you do that, especially early in the season, that just lets your coaches know. It lets you know I could do this. I could make a field goal of that length outdoors as they were in Charlotte. It just was a confidence booster for a kicker who struggled down the stretch last year. The Raiders, I think, kind of went out of their way to let Daniel know, hey, you're our guy. They didn't bring anyone into training camp to push him for the position. They basically told him the job is yours. Now go do what we know you're capable of doing, because in terms of leg strength, he's as good as there is in the NFL. There was something that was going on last year, and if you get through that mental hump, he's arguably one of the better kickers in the league, potentially. So for him to get that 54-yard field goal against Charlotte and then come back and do it the same under really intense environment and circumstances, basically you kick this, you win the game. If you don't, you give Drew Brees and the Saints another chance to go tie the game up, and he calmly, collectively kicked that field goal and with room to spare. And so for him and for the Raiders, that's pretty big moving forward as well.
Very big, Vinny. Well, thank you so much, as always, for the updates.
All right, you got it, Cassie. Have a good one.
In other news, Raiders head coach John Gruden was one of several head coaches fined $100,000 for not properly wearing a mask on the field. New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley will miss the rest of the season after tearing his ACL on Sunday against the 49ers. And Hall of Fame cornerback Deion Sanders was named the new head coach at Jackson State University. Let's take a look at Raiders social media with Las Vegas Review-Journal sports journalist Leandre Fox. Leandre, how juiced was this team after defeating the Saints on Monday Night Football?
They're obviously super pumped. Obviously, they're coming in, brand new city. They left Oakland last year. They're here in Vegas. They are now the Las Vegas Raiders. We don't talk about Oakland anymore. But you can obviously see just how excited the city is and how excited they are. They had a road test. They came home. They're 2-0. They are defending their turf. And you can obviously see that when Mike Mayock and John Gruden embraced each other on the field after that win. And also the players running around. Zay Jones was the star of that video. Just look at the utter excitement he has. He scored at Allegiant Stadium, so you know he's really juiced.
Well, now when they got into the locker room, Leandre, it looks like they did like a really intense game of Simon Says or something. Can you explain what's going on there?
It's a football thing. I've seen it before. I've never had to do it when I was, a washed high school athlete. But I've seen it before. It's something that obviously got them super hyped, and the party just continued. It was a huge party at Allegiant Stadium yesterday. No fans involved, but the players still kept that energy high and going.
Definitely. All right, Leandre, thank you so much for that update.
Thanks, guys.
We are going to take a quick break right now, but on the way back, Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney will join me, and we'll talk some more game analysis. Stay with us. Which NFL team drafted Jim Plunkett in 1971? Was it A, the Cincinnati Bengals, B, the New England Patriots, C, the Oakland Raiders, or D, the San Francisco 49ers?
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review-Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Get the Vegas Nation podcast 3 days a week. All things Raiders, all week long. The Vegas Nation podcast, powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Now 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Raiders analysis.
Mark Davis looking out for the fans.
Interviews.
How do you look at this season coming up?
I'm going to be a much better player.
NFL talk.
The Cowboys are not a legit contender either.
They are, my friend.
They're not.
Find all our podcasts on VegasNation.com and hit subscribe. Raiders, fast takes, smart coverage.
Thanks for tuning back into Vegas Nation Blitz. There was a lot to break down in the Raiders' 34-24 Monday night victory over the Saints. So here to help us with that is Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. Ed, and I want to start by asking you, what was it like being inside of Allegiant Stadium for the debut of this venue, but without any fans inside of there?
Very surreal. I was laughing because we kept hearing the Saints players saying, defense. I thought, I'm at a Pop Warner game. Like, they're 6-year-olds, like, defense. It was very strange. And then I'm thinking, do they always do this and we've just never heard them chant defense? We heard things last night that I'm like, I've never heard, Drew Brees with more, Derek Carr with more audibles. This time it was Mark Davis in Boston. So in that way, it's kind of cool that we're hearing a lot of things, but no, I mean, you would have rather had 65,000 people there for the first game at Allegiant. That would have been really cool.
Right. Well, before we get into what happened during the game, let's go ahead and talk about what happened after the game, Ed. Head coach John Gruden was on his post-game presser with us, so the media, and he dropped a little comment. He said that he had previously had the coronavirus. Before we get into it, let's listen to how he just casually said this.
I'm doing my best. You know, I've had the virus, okay? I'm doing my best. I'm very sensitive about it, but I'm calling plays. I just want to communicate in these situations, and I apologize. And if I get fined, I will have to pay the fine. But, you know, I'm very sensitive about all of that, and I apologize.
Ed, your initial reaction when you heard John Gruden say this?
He said, you know, I had the virus, and everyone in the press box stopped, and we're looking around like, what? What? Did he say that? Like, it was crazy. And then afterwards, a couple guys who covered the team texted him, and he did text back that it was in July. So if you put a timeline together, Rich Bisaccia, we know, made that comment to players in a Zoom, like, hey, the one day John Gruden was there, hey, coach is in the hospital, he's got coronavirus. Now, at that point, everyone's like, this guy's joking around. Even Gruden brought it up the next week. I was out for a personal reason. But now the timeline kind of makes Rich Bisaccia seem like a nice guy instead of a prankster, because if John Gruden did have this in early July and quarantined and was back, it might have been a day he wasn't there. And Rich Bisaccia told the guys, like, look, you know he's had it. We got to be careful. Wear your masks. But it did appear that Gruden got it without knowing anything, that he got through it because he was back at the facility with the team in late July.
All right, well, let's get to the game now. And let's start with Derek Carr, 28 of 38, 282 yards for 3 touchdowns. Is it safe to say that he was the better quarterback on Monday night?
He was definitely the better quarterback. More important for the Raiders is it's only 2 games, small sample size, but he absolutely has complete control of this offense in year 3 under Gruden. And that's what we said before the year is like, okay, it's year 3. Like, this is the time. There should be no issues. You should know everything Gruden wants. And through 2 games, the guy is mastering this offense. And, you know, the one guy he continues to get is Darren Waller. And I know people love Kelsey. I know there's other tight ends around the league. But at the beginning of the season, you might not have put Waller in their conversation. I think you have to now. He's a terrific tight end, Darren Waller. And through the first few weeks, I mean, he and Derek Carr are really clicking to where they're a legitimate threat now on any down.
Well, the offense definitely got the job done, Ed, but let's go ahead and talk about the defense. They let 24 points get past them. Your thoughts on the defensive's performance?
After the first quarter, you thought it might be 50-0 to New Orleans. So they turned something somehow. You know, they didn't sack Breeze, but they got a couple hurries in there. A big pick from Murrow, before the half that got 3 points. Let's be honest. They got helped a lot last night by New Orleans penalties, but you know what? They were all penalties. So don't commit penalties, and maybe the Saints would have more points. But it all worked out for them, and I thought last night, the last 3 quarters, probably as good as you can say the Raiders are now defensively.
All right, well, final one for you. The Raiders have a short week now ahead of them. They'll head on the road to New England to face Bill Belichick and his Patriots. Give me the preview there.
Look, it's hard to go there and win. It might be a different Patriots team. They're still the Patriots, still Belichick. So while they won't be favored, if they play offensively like they have the first 2 weeks and somehow, like they did with Breeze, manage to kind of make Cam Newton uncomfortable, I think they're in it in the fourth quarter. And when you go east like that, that's all you can ask for.
All right, Ed. Well, thank you so much. As always, we look forward to the updates, the continuing updates.
Thanks, Cassie.
Once again, that was Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. We are going to take a quick break. Stay with us. The answer is B, the New England Patriots. Plunkett spent 7 seasons at New England and San Francisco before joining the Raiders in 1979.
Welcome back to the Vegas Nation Blitz. It's Heidi, Fang here, and I'm joined with our NFL and Raiders writer, Adam Hill. And we're going to do a little bit of an AFC West roundup for you after Week 2 is in the books. The Raiders are 2-0. You've heard plenty about that already. Adam, what else stood out to you this week in the AFC West?
Well, there was one AFC West matchup between the Chiefs and the Chargers. Get to that in a second. First of all, the Denver Broncos. They've lost just about everybody at this point. Drew Lock got hurt. Cortland Sutton's hurt. They've just got injuries all over the place. Phillip Lindsay is hurt. We know Von Miller's out for the year. They are decimated by injuries, and they fight tough with Jeff Driscoll. That is a mash unit in Denver. I think nobody's really expecting a lot out of them the next few weeks as they try to get healthy. Chiefs-Chargers was the other game. That was kind of the marquee game here. in the AFC West outside of the Raiders on Monday Night Football, and it was a doozy. Tyrod Taylor got an injection before the game. The starting quarterback for the Chargers trying to deal with some rib injuries. He had an adverse reaction to the infection, was taken to the hospital with irregular heartbeat. They were worried about the reaction that he had. Justin Herbert finds out just before kickoff he's being pushed into the game. He looked really good at times. There was times where he looked like he was ready to play in the NFL. There's other times where he didn't. And I will say this right now, there's a reason that they're not committing to Justin Herbert as a starting quarterback going forward. The Chargers had a chance to kick a field goal to go up 11 points in the fourth quarter and probably win that game. Justin Herbert makes a rookie mistake. He scrambles left, tries to throw back right. It's picked off. The Chiefs score the tying touchdown. So Justin Herbert, a lot of good things, and he also showed he's a rookie. That's why the Chargers are probably going back to Tyrod Taylor at some point. But a interesting week in the AFC West as the Chargers almost got the job done against the Chiefs. Chiefs make a 58-yard field goal to win in overtime to avoid the tie.
All right, now as we look ahead to week 3, Adam, what matchup are you looking forward to the most?
Well, no question about this one. It is Chiefs and Ravens, potential AFC championship game preview. Monday Night Football, we're here this week with Las Vegas. Next week, we see the Chiefs and the Ravens. Where do the two powers of the AFC stand at this point in the season? I think that is going to be a fantastic game. All eyes in the AFC West will be on that one.
Great stuff, Adam, as always. Now, everybody, stay tuned as we take a look back here on a Raider great, Willie Brown, here in this moment in Raiders history. Hall of Fame cornerback Willie Brown played for the Raiders from 1967 to 1978 and remains their all-time leader in interceptions with 39. After playing college football at Grambling State University, Brown was not drafted by an NFL team. He was brought on by the Houston Oilers, but he was cut during training camp. From there, he went to the Denver Broncos, where he became a starter in the middle of the 1963 season. In his second year, he was named to the All-Pro team, but in 1967, he was traded to the Raiders. In 12 years with the team, he was the defensive captain, went to 5 All-Star games and 4 NFL Pro Bowls. In his career, he racked up 54 interceptions. One of the highlights of his career came in Super Bowl 11, where he intercepted Fran Tarkenton and ran it back 75 yards to score a touchdown. Brown served as an assistant to the Raiders and coached the defensive backfield after his playing career ended. He was also the head coach of Long Beach State's football program. From 1995 until 2019, Brown held an administrative role with the Raiders until he passed away at the age of 78 on October 21st, 2019. Currently, safety Jonathan Abram dons the number 24 and has the sleeves tailored to honor Willie Brown. And that'll do it for this moment in Raiders history. We'll be back next week.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Get the Vegas Nation podcast 3 days a week. All things Raiders, all week long. The Vegas Nation podcast, powered by the Las Vegas Review Journal. Now 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Raiders analysis.
Mark Davis looking out for the fans.
Interviews.
How do you look at this season coming up?
I'm going to be a much better player.
NFL talk.
The Cowboys are not a legit contender
on paper,
either.
They are, my friend.
They're not.
Find all our podcasts on VegasNation.com and hit subscribe. Raiders, fast takes, smart coverage.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. We know that fans were not allowed inside of Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders' Monday Night Football game, but that did not stop them from gathering outside the venue. Our very own Mick Akers was there to experience it all. Mick, can you just put into words what the atmosphere was like being with these fans outside of the stadium as the Raiders are beating the Saints inside?
Yeah, it's pretty wild at times. I got there around like 1:30 in the afternoon, and there was already 100 people at least there. Some of the Black Hole members stopped by before they went over to Tommy Rockers for that party over there, so people are taking pictures with all them. Even though one of them, the Hell Raider, it looks like Pinhead from Hellraiser, had a Metro officer fake arrest him for a picture. He said that all the stadiums he goes to, he takes a picture like that. So the Metro, he played along, was cool with it. So, it's cool seeing that, Metro kind of interacting with some of the fans. Some kids even broke out. They had football. They were playing a little street football game right in front of the entrance there, the Lanai doors in the background. And One of the cops even jumped in and played QB for a little while. So, a lot of people are having fun. So, throughout the whole day, more and more people came in and shuffled out. But there was, the main group was there. One group, this couple brought a TV, 2 chairs and a table. So they set up, some chips. They had a bunch of beer, of course, and then they had the TV. They didn't put it on until the game started. So they brought a power outlet of their own, generator, a little mini one, and they threw the game on. And, as the game progressed more and more and more, the crowd started kind of growing around them. And then, towards the end of the game, all the big plays going on, in the second half, they're going wild, kind of spraying beer and, shooting popcorn and chips in the air, So by the time, the game was over, I was soaked in beer. So, luckily I didn't get pulled over driving home because, they might have questioned what I was doing before.
Your journalistic efforts, Mick, we really appreciate them. Well, while you were there, what sort of things were you hearing from the fans? Were they excited that the Raiders were in Las Vegas? Were there some still a little salty that they're not in Oakland anymore? What did you hear from the fans?
No, majority, everyone was just excited. There was a lot of California plates. Everyone kind of parked wherever they wanted since the lots were technically closed. So people were parking on the side of the streets, in the middle of the streets, in the medians, all the way up and down Dean Martin, Al Davis, all those, and even on Hacienda Bridge. People stopped and they were watching the game from the bridge as well, like in the Jumbotron inside the alumni doors. So there's at least 20 people up there the whole night watching the game in there. But, everyone was, excited. The California fans meeting the Nevada fans for the first time, even people from other states, like Arizona. I heard some Montana and some other states as well. But, no, I didn't hear anything bad about them being in Vegas. Everyone was just taking in the scene and the new stadium. They're in awe just standing there. They, it could be inside, but, I guess the official capacity crowd will be 0, but maybe a few hundred to be on there because the fans were outside and forced the Raider Nation out there.
Well, fans obviously made their way there, Mick, despite not being allowed inside the stadium. The next home game is in October 4th versus the Bills. Do we think that the Raider Nation will show up again and kind of just take over the outside? Do we think that maybe Allegiant Stadium might say, hey, we can't park here, you guys can't do this?
Yeah, just from, hearing some people talk, they said, a lot of them said they're going to come back for the home games until they say don't come back. So, at first the security seemed like they were trying to disperse the crowd that was, gathering around that TV early on. But, I don't think they didn't want to create a bad situation on the home game. So I think they just let it play out. But I think as it goes on, and they don't want people to gather in large groups like that, obviously with some of these COVID-19 mitigations going on, especially that's why they can't go inside. So I would assume at some point they're going to start, maybe clamping down on this, gathering outside, even though it is outdoors and such. A lot of people weren't wearing the masks and stuff. The main people that had the TV and stuff said, hey, we had them on at first, but as the game goes on, you kind of just lose it, and everyone was just kind of in the crowd doing their thing. So I would imagine this to, maybe even skip maybe getting a call from the governor saying, hey, you guys are having this large gathering. I think as time goes on, that they'll be a little bit more strict on people gathering out there on the game days.
All right, Mick. Well, thank you so much for your efforts as always. Thanks for taking one for the team, being out there with the Raider Nation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It was awesome. It was a good time out there. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you. Well, that will do it for this week's episode of Vegas Nation Blitz, but we will be back on Sunday for another episode of Vegas Nation Game Day at 9 a.m. on Cox Your View Channel 14. We'll also live stream that on our Vegas Nation Facebook page. Once again, that's Vegas Nation Game Day at 9 a.m. this Sunday. For our Vegas Nation crew, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you then.